Yo, 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 welcome to CMB SPORTS PODCAST. I'm your host, Carl Biddings, and I want to thank you guys for joining us for our 2023 sports season as we take a deep dive into basketball, football, boxing, and track and field. As we get started with our first episode, I want to talk about what happened on July 29th, 2023 in the boxing world and why I consider that night as the worst TKO in boxing history. Stay tuned.
You either ride with us or collide with us. It's as simple as that for me and mine.
What's up, sports fans? As we all know, on July 29th, we all was looking forward to one of the hype, one of the greatest, supposed to be greatest boxing matchups in a long time. For you boxing fans, I kind of started watching boxing in the 80s, so I remember kind of catching the Four Kings towards the late 80s, and had the pleasure of watching Pernell Whitaker. Of course, my favorite guy of all time, Floyd Money Mayweather, TBE. And then now I kind of catch on to the guys now, but Bud Crawford has been one of my favorite guys as well. So just like you guys, I thought we was going to watch a 12-round brawl of just great boxing, back and forth boxing, but that didn't happen. We witnessed adult child abuse. I don't know how else to explain it. I was so confused and baffled by the performance. I started thinking about the whoopings that I took as a kid, and how I realized that them switches and them belts and whatever I got hit with wasn't really ass whoopings. I saw an ass whooping Saturday night in the boxing world with Bud Crawford and Earl Spence. So I got my notes down, and so I'm going to kind of try to go over it and explain why I feel like this is the worst TKO in boxing history. A lot of people talk about Felix Trinidad when he almost massacred Joppy. Of course, we all know about Floyd Mayweather when he beat Gotti half to death. But those fights to me don't compare to what we saw Saturday night, because Floyd was obviously the favorite in that fight to win, and Felix Trinidad was the favorite as well. We had a 50-50 matchup, a 50-50 fight that we didn't really know which way it could go. Now, I was a Bud fan. I'm cheering for Bud, but it could have went either way. But the fight turned out to be a massacre a couple of times. I started to take my own assessment on why this was the worst TKO in history and the reasons why this fight ended up this way. So I started to think about, number one, their records. Bud came in 39-0. Spence came in 28-0. Although both fighters have got an extensive history in amateur fighting, the Olympics, Bud still had 11 more fights than Spence. 11 more rounds to learn his craft. 11 more rounds of brawl. 11 more rounds, whatever. Now, of course, a lot of them fights ended up in knockouts, but experience matter. I don't care how efficient you are, how amazing you are. Experience still takes a toll in that fight. And so I just felt like coming in, Bud was more prepared for that high level fight. As we all know, he's been kind of getting the backlash of not getting his opportunities when he wanted them, and so I felt like the moment for him, this was his moment. I felt like Spence, um, had opportunities in big fights, in Dallas at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium, but this was Bud's moment, and I think Bud just took it a little more serious than Spence. But you can't overlook 11 more fights of battling. Number two, styles. Now, they both southpaws, but Terrence Crawford is the GOAT at being orthodox. And there's a lot of jokes going around, but it's serious. Bud Crawford beat Spence with his weak hand. Bud is right-handed. He's right-handed, but he learned how to fight left hand when he broke his right hand in a street fight when he was training. And so to not miss training, his trainer had him fight with his left hand, which turned out to be a blessing for him because he can go either way. I think Spence probably thought that Bud would come out right-handed because, as we all know, left-handers are more prepared for right-handers. A southpaw fighting a southpaw, you know, in according to what I've been learning, the southpaw rather fight a right-hander than a left-hander. And so style makes fights. And so, as we all know and been hearing about, Spence is the aggressor. He gonna wear you down. He gonna pressure you. He gonna beat you up, get you in the corner, start doing his thing, getting them body shots going. And so that's how he win his fights. But that style didn't work against Bud. Just like Floyd, he's able to make that adjustments. He kept his distance with the jab, kept his space. He had ringmanship where he was able to move around the ring, perfect angles. Like I love Floyd, but what Bud did was some of the best I've ever seen, just in terms of just everything: defense, patience, taking his shots when he wanted to, being the aggressor, not being bullied. And so I felt like Spence came in again with not a strong plan with his styles. And I felt like Bud fighting him left hand threw him off, and then Bud just doing his thing was the reason why that happened like that. Another thing, look at my notes. 147. Everybody want to talk about, Spence was weak and he came in, he was flat, and then no, Bud made him flat. If you watch the fight, Spence won the first round. We all know that Bud probably, takes his time, but I don't care. Spence won the first round. He was the aggressive. He was getting more shots off. He was throwing more jabs. He was doing more moving. He had all this quickness. In the second round, Spence was winning the round until he got caught. So Spence was winning the first two rounds. He looked good. Once he got knocked down, Spence lost his cool. He was embarrassed that he got knocked down for the first time in his career. And then in the third round, he came out just throwing haymakers, swinging, trying to go crazy because he was embarrassed. Yeah, you got knocked down, Spence, but you got to be able to show that discipline. Okay, refocus. I got knocked down. I'm not hurt. Refocus, and let's go back at it. So people want to talk about, let him go to 154. So you want to fight Bud Crawford at 154 where he's stronger? He got more weight on them punches? It doesn't matter. 147, 130, 154. I mean, it don't matter. Bud is the better fighter. And the excuse you guys are using about him being 147, Spence fought at 147 his entire career. Bud moved up three levels. So if anybody should have an issue with the weight clause, it should be Bud, not Spence. Spence, you've been a world-class fighter at 147. So the excuses people making were just the Earl fans. Yeah, let him fight at 154 in December. It'd be the same result, but more punishment. You don't want to fight Crawford stronger. You don't want to do it. And so that excuse right there about being 147, throw it out the window. I just felt like Bud came in better shape, better condition, more focus, and he beat Spence into being flat. He whooped Spence into being slow. He manhandled Spence into looking weak. All right, so that 147 stuff don't really matter. My next one on the topic. My hat goes up to Spence. I want to say this. Just getting in the ring, fight at a high level, he earned the right to that big payday he got. But one thing that people don't really want to talk about is that I don't think Spence is the same fighter he was prior to 2019. As we all know, he got in that bad car accident where he got threw out the car and messed up pretty bad. A lot of facial injuries, a lot of things happen to your body. As we all know, when you get in a car accident, you may not be hurt, but you may have some internal injury that you may not know about. Now, of course, Spence accident was worse than a fender bender, but since 2019, Earl Spence Jr. has been in 4 car accidents. The one in 2019 where he was seriously injured, he had 2 fender benders, and then he hit somebody as he was chasing somebody one day. 4 accidents. 4 accidents. And the way that he was bleeding and the way that his face swelled up so easy in the second round, I don't think his body I don't think his body's prepared for that kind of punishment. Now, yeah, he had 2 fights since the accident. He fought Danny Garcia, that he beat, and then he also fought August. But in both of them fights, both of them guys was getting off shots on Earl, hitting him to where I felt like, and the reason why I picked Bud, I'm like, if August, whatever his name is, can hurt Spence, Bud might kill this guy or definitely knock him out because Spence took too many shots. He took too many shots when he was the best, but now he's taking more shots, and I don't think he's completely healthy. But just getting in that ring, I applaud him. What I would do is I wouldn't fight in December. I wouldn't fight Bud in December. I wouldn't do no rematch. It's just too soon. I'm not even sure how much his body's going to heal within the next 2-3 months. And then and now you want to put on, now you want to spar and get ready for the December fight. I don't think it's smart. I wouldn't do it. But people don't take into account the effect that car accident had on him. And I think going forward, his camp is going to really evaluate who they fight, get extra clearance with his physicals and his health to make sure that he's ready to go when he does resume fighting again. Okay. Now, if you in boxing, as we all know, it's about getting the big payday. All right. In a fight of magnitude, them guys will get 30 to 40, $50 million to fight. But is it really worth fighting again in December? Is it really worth fighting again, Bud Crawford, in December? Is $30 million worth your life being in danger? I'm not sure. And so what I'll do is, if I'm Spence, I'm going to chill the rest of the year, relax my whole body. I'm not going to do nothing outside of just lifting weights, maybe some cardio. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to come back in the whole calendar year. So if I'm Spence, I don't fight again until next year, July. And whoever is in that top 10 welterweight, I'm fighting them guys, and I want to get my skills back. He needs to be able to incorporate a new skill set because that bully ball doesn't work with a high caliber fighter like Bud Crawford. That bully ball may not work in 154. It can still work in 147, but I think what he need to do is be able to come back at 147, work on some new skills, some new counteracts, some new adjustments that he probably know, but he has not put a lot of attention to, so that he can come back and fight Crawford maybe in the year and have adjustments to make when he comes back at 147 or if they fight at 154. But I would not do December 2023. I may look at December of 2024, but I wouldn't do it at all. Okay, so when I look at everything, those are the reasons why I felt like Spence came into the ring and didn't get the performance that we all look for. I felt like Bud was the more prepared fighter. Bud was in better shape. Bud obviously was stronger. Bud was more sharper. Bud had better defense. And I just felt like the moment was too big for Spence. And then not only that, I felt like Spence has some undisclosed physical situations that we don't know about that he didn't expect to happen to him. Because he'd never been beaten like that before. Never in his life. He took some shots. He got hit. Even against Ugas, when his mouthpiece came out of his mouth, he thought his teeth came out. So if your teeth is not strong enough to stay in your mouth, his whole dental situation isn't strong enough. And so I just feel like the fight, in my opinion, was the worst TKO in history because you had two fighters who, when you betting your money, you can go either way. This was a Sugar Ray Leonard Marvin Hagler fight. Duran, Sugar Ray, Thomas Hearns, Hagler. This is one of them fights. I would say Floyd, Oscar, but Oscar was a little older. I would say Floyd, Pac, but that was 5 years behind. I would say Floyd, Canelo, but Canelo was too young. This fight was the fight that we all been waiting for since the Four Kings in the 80s. And it didn't live up to it. It ended up being the worst fight, the worst knockout in TKO history because Earl Spence was not ready, was not prepared, he was not ready to fight a high caliber, amazing boxer like Terrence Bud Crawford, who I think is going to dominate the next 4 to 5 years.